Hello, hello, hello. Today is not a combo guide, a tier list. Play this character. I'm trying to persuade you in any way. What we're doing today is a series of case studies on all characters in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. And today we are covering Big Bard Dizzle. So covering Bardock, Big Bard D, Big Bards, B Doc, Captain B, the man of many names. So the character at a glance when we first see Bardock is he is pure control. So he's an offensive monster with lots of plus moves, or moves that make him plus, sorry, for instance. So if you like to always be in control and offense, and always inside when you're attacking your opponent, Bardock is for you. Not saying that, he's also has a great defensive character as well. By only engaging when he needs to engage, and suddenly going in when he needs to. So as always, we talk about characters in zones. So throughout this video, you hear me talk about up close, mid range, and far. And that's how we're gonna talk about the characters today. So Bardock, we start with up close. Up close, Bardock has a 5L. The range is okay on the 5L on this one, so it's very good. Advances as well, as you see. One of the few 5Ls in the game that does that, so keep that in mind. It's safe. 2L as well. He can change his 2L, but he can't change his 5LL. It's 5LL, so it's what else? 5L is -5. Great way to end a string as well. So if you do this, the distance it leaves you at as well, if your opponent just leaves them just out of the space where they want to press the button, so they're a bit scared there. His 2M -5 as well, so I saw that, so he can do this and still be safe. His 5M as well is -4. So at any point, he can end the string and just continue and be safe. And because of his advancing buttons, see there with this, because of his advancing buttons, he's always getting in. So Bardock has always pressure. His 2H, 13 frames, one of the best 2Hs on the faster end. So it's a great 2H for 2Hing when you're up close. Again, good with Bardock's buttons. His 5H, again, advances him forward. So if you see here, this hits in the mid-range. So this advances him forward and allows him to kind of continue his strings here. So you see there, Bardock's always going forward. And if you look at the strings, the more he hits an opponent, the closer they're getting to the corner. Now if you go through his air buttons, he's got a jump L. Let's do it here. Got a great jump L and jump M as well. A bit awkward to use on cross-ups, but it's still a great button nonetheless. Obviously, he has a jump S, which gives him this kind of momentum. Stalls his momentum for a second, so this is very good for kind of shielding your approach. So if you do it from like an angle like here, it could be up to +2. So you see that? So if you come in with that button, it could be like +2, +12. So this helps Bardock kind of maintain pressure. Now, those are his so let me charge the pad before it dies. Give me a second. There we go. So that's Bardock, his buttons, his traditional buttons that you kind of going to be looking for. Now we're going to go into his super. So Bardock has level 1. And if we go into invincibility info for this, he has an invul super. So if you're in trouble, you just kind of just throw that out. And he has his level 3, where he turns into a Super Saiyan. Shouts to being canon. Now that's his super, so let's quickly go over his specials. So specials, Bardock has the Lariato. So this is a great horizontal special. You see how it's very fast. Can get Bardock in at nearly full screen. That's the L version. The M version goes up. Great in conjunction with assists, or just kind of in combos. So with assists, Bardock is able to maintain his air momentum. 236S still counts as a special. This is one of the few specials in the game that's plus on block. So technically it's a special, 236S. Bardock has a gut punch, you see is +4. So you can imagine the pressure doesn't end. Your opponent can have, it's 26 frames, so your opponent can jab, but it's their risk and their prerogative to do so. You can do the air version of his lariat. does this little dive punch. If you vanish, it's a jail on block. So what a jail means is your opponent's unable to reflect. So normally your opponent can reflect, but for this, your Bardock's unable to. So again, you combine this with all of Bardock's resources, you're able to just put your opponent in these really precarious situations. Last but not least, for specials, his 214 is an overhead at the end, 214L, 214M, and 214H, all being -5. So once again, Bardock, that -4, -5 number as you saw, predominantly most of his normals are -4, -5. So they're very good for kind of stopping pressure, taking risks if your opponent doesn't want to go forward. And yeah, he's predominantly safe. Now, we could spend hours talking about special, super and stuff, but let's get down to the nitty gritty, eh? So let's talk about the win conditions, his game plan now. What is Bardock really looking for? Now, what is he looking for in a partner? So in a partner, Bardock himself has very, very great long staggerable strings. So he's kind of inviting his opponent to press a button. So if your opponent wants to press L, Bardock at any time can stop his opponent himself. So he has no problem kind of stopping his opponent, and that's literally from me just pressing LL. Put the commands up. So literally me just doing LL. Bardock can hit you at any time, as you see there. So he's very, very good at doing that. So he has great long staggerable strings, and Bardock has great corner pressure. So combined with the right assists, you can do something like this with Bardock, where your opponent has to kind of guess between the high-low option there. So Bardock's got such good corner pressure. So assist he's looking for and what can help him. So Bardock in the mid-range, obviously he has the 5S and the lariat, but it's -5. So if he uses certain assists, these assists can help him actually traverse a lot of space where he can go in and go to town and do mix-ups. So he himself, he just needs assists that kind of traverse that space. So from here, if I do lariat, I'm unsafe. I can't really continue pressure. But if I do someone like Zamasu's assist, I can get in. Or if I do, I can get in this way. So he's really looking for characters that help him get in. So we saw that with Zamasu. A, let's try both of them in B. So Bardock, he does that slash there, so that's akin to the lariat. So that helps him kind of get in anyway, to start his pressure. But Bardock, like I said, in the mid-range, he doesn't really need any help. Here, you see that? We can do that with, if you put reflect on, I'm able to get in safely. See that there? I'm able to get in safely from about the mid-range, and my opponent has everything to worry about. That is very, very strong, especially that's +10, so that's quite strong. Let's see with Goku Black. That's got a bit of short range, so maybe we can do the same. So again, it worked as well. So it's pretty easy with Bardock to kind of use this to get in and just start your pressure. See? And bait the reflect. Really, really simple game you're playing with Bardock. Just getting in with the assists or baiting your opponent. Let's try with C assists. So it's a bit slow there. Maybe this would be good for your opponent baiting out a reflect, or if your opponent wants to press buttons. If your opponent's feeling really buttonsy, obviously to beat out Bardock, if you do have like a good C assist, can help you out there as well. As we see there, so helping Bardock with these long staggerable strings and inviting your opponent to press buttons and having assists that either bait the opponent to hit them, or we did like we did in the corner, combining 2 assists. That's what Bardock's kind of doing there. So Bardock, like I said, he traverses the screen. Obviously from mid-range, he wants a great assist that help him get in and continue pressure in some way, shape or form, and doing combos obviously for extensions and stuff. So we saw that with those assists. Let's see, we've got Trunks on the other side. What's Trunks? A assist. So this can work for Bardock as well. So this helps Bardock in this range really traverse space from the mid-range even far. Trunks helps him there with Jiren. Jiren, as we saw, it's not an assist that really helps him there. It's a bit too slow. However, Jiren might be better Yeah, as we saw, better as a string, so we can use Jiren as a string. Using him as strings when you're in for corner pressure. Now we talked about game plan as Bardock. Now how about fighting against? You're new to fighting Bardock, you want fighting Bardock. Like, what about fighting against him? He seems like he has everything, right? Now Bardock, conventionally as a character, he doesn't have the conventional 5S. So when he's facing people full screen, not having a conventional 5S puts him at a disadvantage versus multiple Key Blast users. So if you're saying someone like Zamasu's not the best person, let's go Goku Black, one of the best in the game. He's facing someone like Goku Black. This is not a good situation for him. Goku Black is a lot better than him at obviously doing his Key Blasts, even though he just has one. Goku Black can obviously keep him away. So people have multiple Key Blasts or ways of beating him out there in cancelling out his one Key Blast. Bardock has to worry about that, so he has to kind of worry. He can kind of get zoned out by these characters. You kind of have to worry about that. And outside of strings, if your opponent is just patient and they're not pressing any buttons, I feel Bardock. Sorry, put Bardock on. That's not Bardock. There we go. Outside of like strings and all of this, if your opponent is really patient, they can find avenues to escape. So if your opponent decides to backdash at certain points of your string, when you are Bardock, that's forward, my bad. Your opponent can choose ideal moments to escape. So if you're staggering too much with Bardock or pressure, there are points your opponent can escape. So even though you're doing all this stagger pressure, outside of strings, he's not really going to give his opponent any trouble. So you're doing all of this. You have to take, there's risks to this. So outside of all of this, without any assist, he isn't really going to hit you high. As if it's a 6M, there's no real way Bardock's going to force you, unless you make an error, to force you to kind of make a mistake. So a bit of patience and picking your spots versus the Bardock player you are facing can be really helpful. So backdashing, challenging when you need to challenge. So if the Bardock was going to do, so knowing when to challenge or spotting your opponent's tendencies will be really helpful. So it's something to be careful with when you're playing Bardock. Let's go back to the character set screen. So yeah, we talked about Bardock. We talked about if we went over the game plans. We talked about Bardock really wants to. He has these really long staggable strings, and his normals push the opponent more and more to the corner. So he really wants to push the opponent to the corner where he can exact his corner pressure, where he has those 236Ms, which goes in the air, gives him the air momentum, and all this pressure is kind of bait the opponent to throw with 236S. So he has all of this pressure and these long staggable strings. Now, characters that kind of help him or aid him in doing that, we saw Zamasu's A assist was really helpful. We also saw Goku Black's A assist as well, but we also saw on the other end, while he's doing the staggable strings, if you want to stop your opponent from mashing buttons, we saw the C assists were helpful. And we also saw how the B assists were helpful as well, from the lariat to get in your face, to really exact, not revenge, but to exact pain. We saw with Jiren as well, and Trunks, how they were helpful too. Now, fighting against him, we talked about how not having conventional 5S puts him at a disadvantage versus multiple Key Blast users. So people like Fat Boo, Teen Gohan, Vegeta, Super Saiyan Goku, these are the type of characters that will kind of give you a bit of trouble, especially the angled Key Blast like Cooler, and even Janemba. So these characters will give him trouble because he's about a disadvantage versus these characters, something to worry about. And outside of strings, a patient opponent will give him a lot of trouble. So he doesn't have a conventional means of giving you an overhead. And outside of DR and 6M, he's not really going to open you up unless you make the error. Or that jump 236M, unless you make an error there. So when you're facing Bardock, keeping key and using the correct defensive options like backdashing at certain times and challenging are really vital when facing Bardock when you are facing him. And also using Reflect. But yeah, I hope this video helped someone. Leave a like if you like the video, and as always, leave a comment if you enjoyed it, or if you want to talk more about Bardock and how he can probably help your team. and the like. But yeah, like I said, I want to create a community of people. We really talk about these things and really discuss characters. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.